Hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is William Pickford and I'll be showing you my design specialism brief. So quick breakdown of the year really quick. So first 6 weeks we're doing 3 specialisms, 2 weeks per specialism. And then in the second half of the year we're doing our own personal project. So we choose a specialism and we do a brief on that specialism. Now back to the first 2 weeks, so the first specialism. Sorry, I can't go into the big mode because it doesn't screen record. So instead I'll be doing this. So week 1 and 2 was social media and marketing. So we were asked to choose 2 social media campaigns or marketing campaigns which we especially liked or were aware of. And I instantly chose Hi Smile and Daniel Wellington Watches. These are 2 very, very successful companies, and they simply did this off influencer advertising. So by paying influencers to advertise it online and to post photos of them, they've been very successful. Both companies are worth multiple hundred millions of pounds now, and they both started off very small loans. So they were very interesting. I looked into them. Moving on, social media task. So we were given a task which was to encourage people to go outside more using social media. My initial ideas were influencers straight away. I was like, I could edit some influencers in and put them with some nice quotes and stuff to get people encouraged to go outside. But then I thought, we'll look elsewhere. And then I was thinking about statistics and facts and how I could use them, and how I could also use like photo and caption combinations. But yeah, moving forward, this is what I worked on. I actually got these photos and then I threw some inspirational slogans on them, kept them all a similar style. All the photos were quite similar as well. I quite like the style of them all. Everyone's geared up, nice little silhouettes with the sun in the background. But yeah, and then I made a mock-up. I threw them onto a Twitter mock-up. And then threw a nice little caption combo in there. So we've got struggling with your sleep pattern. Research has proven that a morning jog is very beneficial to sleeping patterns. Find out more in blah 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 article. Now I would personally be influenced by that, because if I had a bad sleeping pattern, it's relatable. You instantly click on it and you're influenced, and then that would therefore get you outside because you'd hear the benefits of it. Moving on, week 3 and 4. Now, I was actually ill for week 3, which was the animation with Alex. I've spoken to Ben about it. There wasn't actually any online resources, and Ben had already edited his. And I think I spoke to Matty as well. His was edited, so I couldn't do that one. But but I've made up for this with my final specialism. Week 4, it was well-being week, so we didn't actually have any resources and we didn't do any tasks for that. So moving on, week 5. So this was web coding. So we've done coding before, but we had a refresher of CAT and it was really good. A lot more straightforward and it was a lot easier to understand. We went through all the basics of just setting up code, organizing it, the structures, lists and stuff like that. And then in the second week we went into CSS. Sorry, we started looking at how we can stylize things, how we can arrange and align things, along with like borders and margins and padding. So they were very useful. As you can see on the right, there's a little example there. So moving on, we had a coding task, which was to mimic the web page on the right hand side. So we had to do that using HTML and CSS code that we'd learned. So getting onto this, this is my progress, and then this is my final piece. Now, these yellow boxes here were a major issue for me. I couldn't get them to fill the outlines. Sorry about that. What's it called? So couldn't fill these, and I actually couldn't get the banner position at the bottom. It just kept sitting behind these, and when I did the image into the bottom bit there, it would also sit behind. So I got rid of that. So that's my final version of that. But I got I'd say 75% of it right. It's just this little bit in the middle was muddling me up. But moving on to the big finale, the specialist brief. So I actually begun by choosing coding. Now I don't know why I did this, because I couldn't complete the coding task to perfection. So it was always going to be a struggle to to do this to the best of my abilities. So I actually chose this for 2 weeks. I gave it a go, but I was really struggling to motivate myself, and to even get on with the work. I was really struggling with that, so I decided that I needed something a bit more exciting. And one of the other briefs was actually very, very exciting to me, which was the motion and animation brief. Now, it was to choose a song. This brief was to choose a song which represents a strong cause of war, politics, or equality, and create visuals for a section of the song. Now, I knew which song I was going to do from the get-go. I knew exactly what song I was going to do. It's one of my favourite artists. His name is Dave. He's a UK rapper. He's in the year above me, from London. And yeah, I've seen him live like half a dozen times. This song, Question Time, I've heard that live. It's very good. It's a political song based on the UK politics. Our Prime Minister at the time, which was Theresa May, and it's talking about what effect we have on other countries around the world, issues with Syria and the Middle East. But yeah, we'll get into that a bit further. So that's a little lowdown on the song. So here you'll see I actually started with film. So they're the two types of visuals I'm doing, film and animation. I actually merged them together because I started with film, but the footage was limiting my creative abilities. I had all these big ideas for it, but film footage and editing effects wasn't really cutting it for me. So I thought with animation I have a lot more freedom. I can get all my visual ideas down on a lot more clearly. So yeah, that's the style I went for. I went for a nice little mix, as you'll see in the video. So my initial ideas. So on the left is a breakdown of all my key points when I decided to take this brief on. So it was breaking down the lyrics first, as you can see on the right. I then storyboarded the lyrics, and then I visualized my ideas. I also worked on the timings, as you can see below them. So on the right, through the storyboard, I went line by line of the first verse of his song, and I just gave a nice little idea of what I wanted. It wasn't a strict plan. Obviously, I was gonna develop my visual ideas as I went through, and with transitions and stuff, they can change throughout. Obviously, you need to know how to transition into the next scene, so stuff can change dramatically from your plan, but I've got a nice little idea of what I wanted for each line. And then I worked out the times for the frames. I decided on a style which was going to be like cartoon sort of style, because I'm not very good at animation or illustration and animation, so this was a whole new thing for me. Never really touched on it before. The softwares, I actually haven't used any animation softwares before. I carried on using After Effects for the video, and I put the cartoon into the video. So for the animation, I actually used Adobe Animate. Now they've just had a massive update for it. It's really powerful now, and it's really good. It has a lot of new features. So yeah, I got to work on that. Started doing all my research and stuff. Started watching videos. Got proper into it, and I kind of taught myself how to do everything, so it was really fun. I've definitely improved my skills through this brief. So yeah, moving down. So these are some of the skills I'll rush through this really quick because I haven't actually got much time because the screen recording's a maximum of 15 minutes. And I've already recorded this 4 times and run out of time every time. So creative skills, so storyboarding, visual ideation, character design, background design, character rigging, which is character animation and movement, video editing and animation. These are all skills that I've developed, the creative skills, and then more technical skills, which some of these link with. Adobe Animate, I've definitely learned a lot of skills in that. After Effects, I've definitely learned a lot of effects and with timelines and stuff in that. I've definitely improved on illustration when I've been drawing these animations. Lip syncing is a little tool that I've learned. Transitions, camera movement, character animation. Yeah, this has really been jam packed full of it. So these are some quick character designs. So he's from scene 5. This is a news reporter. He had his mouth. I'd lip synced him, and I also used his arms. I animated his arms. These are 2 teddy bears used in it. I had to simplify some of the characters because I was short for time, so I had to rush this bit, and I just made quite basic characters. I did a nice little Theresa May one there, chunky chain, short silver bob, and I animated her hand as well. And then on the right is a Syrian man watching his town and village burn down. Very, very moving. That's the last scene. That's probably the most powerful part of the video. So moving on, we've got lots of symbols here. Sorry, I'm running out of time. So the 10 Downing Street, I actually traced this image, this image, this image, this image, this image, and I recolored them, redesigned them, and tweaked them, which was really fun. I actually quite enjoyed that. You'll see on my blog there's some videos of me doing that. And then yeah, so we'll see where these prop up later. And then these are some of the scene designs. This is a little Syrian village that I designed. And then this is the newsroom. These are some Middle Eastern backgrounds. We've got Theresa May's house and kids on a playground. And then going below, so these effects, these are animation effects. So as you can see, there's smoke behind these buildings. And yeah, I actually animated the smoke so it looked like it was going up, following each other. That was a tool called shape tweening, but it was a little tool called shape hints. That's the technique that we used. And then flame overlay, I did a frame by frame animation on this effect. And then yeah, getting on to my final outcome. I'm not sure if this video will record the actual sound of the video playing, but I hope it will, and hopefully you'll be able to hear the music. If not, go straight over to the blog and you'll be able to listen there. So let's get into it.
Question for the new Prime Minister. How do you have a heart so sinister? How are we so wasteful when people are dying in Somalia, Afghanistan, Egypt, Libya? The irony is we have no business in Syria, but kids are getting killed for all the business in Syria. And then they try and tell you that it's ISIS. In their attempts at killing it, how many civilians died? So what's the difference between us and them? When you got drones killing kids just touching 10, then when a bomb goes off, every politician's lost like that last strike. It didn't kill 100 men. You ain't the same as them, but all that fuel for the fire is what you gave to them and what you take from them.
Yeah, so that's my final product. If I was to change anything, it would be a transition in the middle. I'll show you which one if it comes on. Oh, I'm not able to do it, but there's a transition where it tips it on its side horizontally, but I really didn't like that transition. I don't know why I did it. But that is the one thing I would change. Oh, other than obviously a lot more detail on the animations everywhere. But I was obviously with a time scale, so couldn't go into too much detail. But definitely next time I'd have it looking smoother and better if I could spend more time on it. But I've really, really enjoyed this project. I'm so glad I changed from coding. I've learned a lot of skills. I've taught myself how to use Adobe Animate. I've taught myself how to draw better. My illustration skills. It's a lot more of a flow going now. So yeah. Thank you for listening.